Good day, students. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of how to start using Rayon, and then we're going to jump to the module page. I'm going to explain what I've prepared for you to progress your apartment, your micro apartment drawings and model. Okay, so I know a lot of you are very new to Blender. So what we've decided to do is I think you need to kind of draw what you need to model first, because these drawings can be used in your A1 presentation, and you'll see these are nice examples I'll show you in a minute. But in essence, I just want to give you an overview of the approach that I think you should adopt to replicate and create a model of your micro apartment, because I know there's a lot of internal furniture things that need to be decided. Okay, so basically, once you get Rayon, you all sign in with your Google account, because you all get a university account. Because of your university Google account, you'll get an account for free. Okay. Okay. The first thing I just want to show you is it's an approach that I've kind of workshopped and worked through, which will better explain how to do this. So if I go to personal, so if you're going to start a model, I'm just going to show you a quick overview. If you're going to start a model, so you'll see by default it's called Rayon. You can use templates to start a model. There are templates that you can use to start from, and you can see here you can search some quick templates. So maybe pick a model. There is a course that I'm giving you access to, so you can pick one of these that best suits your, so beach house drawing maybe. Pick one of these templates which I think will best suit your design. Okay, so something small, you don't know, so maybe this little beach house maybe. Okay, so start your project using a template, because it'll come with a whole lot of information. Okay, and I'll jump to my model in a second, but I just want to give you a quick overview of how to get started. Okay, now there's two areas in which we work. So if we go to layers, you'll see that we've got a model. We've got a model space where we do all of our drawing and we work to a scale. I would change everything 1 to 20, because I think a lot of you are working in 1 to 20 for this model, and you can see these drawings look quite nice, and they're good examples of how you can put these together as well. Okay, there's another one where you can go and get all the interior information, but in essence, the model space is where we do all our drawing work. Okay, there's some information over here, there's a reference image. Okay, so we create a model space. If you don't have a model space, if you click plus here, you can make a model or a paper space. A paper space is where we set up our sheets and we put all of our information on sheets. Okay, so a lot of these images can be placed in the sheets, totally up to you. You can see a lot of this is done on the sheet itself, which I think is quite a good way to do it. Okay, so you can put a lot of information on your sheets as well, but this is a great set of drawings to kind of highlight how you can put these together, and mood boards, etc. Okay, so this is a great set of drawings. You can start, and what's nice about this is that you can take these, you can use these templates, so you can delete everything, add your own information to the project, and clear out everything you don't need. So you'll see this beach house, you can now give it its own name and you can carry on. You see it's private. Just make sure that these are private. You can make them public, you can share them with people, which is also quite cool. Okay, but in essence, this is how you start the project. So I'm just going to quickly jump to my little project that I've done for my micro apartment, and you can see you can go and delete that previous project. So whatever projects you looked at, and it will keep a record of what you've done. So what I did very quickly, I went and took some photos of the maquette models. I've just used one of yours as an example. You can see, and I've used a scale board. I've used one of your cutting boards, so I can quickly drop these in. So images just drag and drop into the model scene, which is quite intuitive. The only catch I have realized is you need to go to wireframe mode, and you need to go and say show grid. Each of these spaces has an origin. It's hard to see, but if you zoom out, it'll have a weird little symbol in the middle of your screen, and that's the origin of this drawing. This is not that critical, but if you're going to export this information to Blender to model, this becomes quite important. But I'll show you how to work around this if you don't come right. Okay, in essence, I dragged in these documents. Then I went and used all of these little modeling tools, and I replicated this little apartment based on what I saw in the photos. So I could see there was a bed here, there was a TV on the wall, a little couch, a little shower combo with a toilet, a wash hand basin. I could see this door would close there. I wasn't too sure where the door should be, so maybe the door could move from there to there. And I've just used my initiative, and I put a TV on the screen, put some windows in. So very quickly, I managed to put this together. And what's great about Rayon, if you go to blocks and libraries, you've got an extensive set of libraries at your disposal, and this is what makes this software very powerful. You can drag and drop any of this information into your model and get cracking. Okay, so as you drag and drop them, what I also found very intuitive about this, so I'm going to copy this toilet up. So you'll get familiar with these commands, but you'll see it's very easy to use the commands, and things will always snap to each other. If you move things, they're always trying to snap to each other, so it's very intuitive. So think of this as Inkscape, but for architects. Okay, it's a great tool. We'll still use Inkscape because I explained you can bring stuff from Inkscape back into this model, which I'll highlight in a minute as well. Okay, but in essence, I have my little model there. Every model that you bring in will have a series of other elements assigned to it. So you can very quickly project up these drawings using your construction lines. You can project up the outlines of your walls, for example. Just make this. You can now project up this information and you can start producing an elevation. I have given you a complete workshop and series of tutorial videos to follow. Okay, spacebar again to confirm that I want those there. But you can see it be very easy to go, and you can see things want to auto align the whole time. So to put these elevations together, it's very intuitive and quick. So I'm just giving you a quick demo. I'm not going to spend too much time. I think I would like to maybe assist more of you in studio to do this, but you can see once you bring in any object, you can change it to side view. Okay, so this is so intuitive the way it works. Okay, so this is very, very powerful. You can mirror things on the fly and you can move them again to lock and align them. Okay, so this is very intuitive the way it works. So you can generate an elevation very quickly using these tools. Okay, so a lot of this information does have different views. You can go and edit the way they look, so you can go and edit this. You can go and say edit, or you can override it. But in edit mode, you can now select the outlines. You can go and edit these paths. You can do a whole lot of editing of these objects. Okay, and whatever you select, you can see you can convert them to splines. So it's a lot like Inkscape. So if you are familiar with using Inkscape's path and lines tools, you'll find that this is very intuitive to use. But to generate these floor plans and drop in materials, okay, it's so quick and easy. So for example, I can draw a rectangle at the back. Now the only thing to bear in mind, this works in layers, so whatever layers on top. So all I want to explain is if you're drawing rectangles, you must make sure that this information sits below furniture, for example, because if you are going to add a fill of some sort of material, it must sit behind the furniture. So that's the only thing you've got to get used to. There's a ton of hatch patterns you can pull in. There's a whole bunch of materials you can add. So this is very, very intuitive the way it works. Okay, you'll see it's very easy to get the hang of. You can use all types of materials. Okay, just understand there is some sort of order that you just got to stick to. You can also change the draw order. You can bring things back to front, but if you use the layer combination, just like in Inkscape, this should be very intuitive to get the hang of. Okay, what I do like is this. You can go and edit these points again. You can use the bucket tool to fill them in. So like we did in Inkscape, there's a lot of information that you guys can, someone do that. Just be careful of what you grab. I've noticed sometimes you just got to be careful what you select. You can make certain objects selectable or not selectable, but again, so you can go and edit these points. You can go and add points now, so you can go and add points and change the shape. So this is so intuitive. I must admit, I've been very impressed with how intuitive this is. Okay, so you can move the edges, you can now move these. So this is super powerful. Okay, super powerful. Okay. So I would recommend that you go and produce your construction lines are editable in edit command. I would go and produce the basic layout of your drawings, and I would actually use this information. So the only trick is if you add a view, you must just add the view from the department, and then each view at X, it's got these crops on the side, and if you hover on the side, and if you use, I think you just shift if I remember, we just get the right command. If you move this, just be careful, it scales, but you can edit the boundary by using, I think it was Alt, yeah. So Alt allows you to change the crop of what you're seeing, so you can be very selective, and it's a lot like how we used to work with CAD. you can change the boundaries. Okay, so you can change these boundaries to work for you. So let me just move this in the middle. From model, this canvas size, you can edit the canvas size. So if you, let me just alt on the side, you should drag it. Doesn't want to do it now. I think you've got to edit it, yeah. So edit the view, double click, edit the view. You see it gives you these lines. So now you can drag these lines and move them around. Okay, so it's not doing it at the moment, so let me just see why not. So this is changing the scale, so just be careful. You want to change this to the correct scale. So it must match the scale of your view. Okay, and you can change this to 20. I just want to see why it's not changing the corners here. So if you grab the edges, oh, this was locked, that's why. So unlock that and then, okay, no, wrong command, Control Z. I think it's Shift. No, Control Z, I think it's Control. Let's try Control. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. So it's Control changes what you see in your viewport. So just remember Control. Let me just see if this is locked, if it'll do it. Yeah, so Control still works without. So Control and then you nudge. Okay, so that changes the view. So here you can be very deliberate. You can set up your views very quickly for your apartment, and this is 1 to 20. So just one thing to understand in the view, make sure that you're working in the right scale and make sure that the view on the sheet, I do think this is quite neat because it allows you to change it on the fly. But in essence, this is great. So to set up your little A1 presentation, you can get rid of this template now. There's a whole bunch of these that you guys can bring in. You can copy and paste them from other projects as well. So these you can bring in from other projects or make your own. You can make your own sheets as well. Okay, so that's totally up to you. But you can see making your sheets in this will be very intuitive. I will spend a bit of time and make a full tutorial on how to do this with this micro apartment. I'm still developing this workshop, but in essence, you can see this is very intuitive to set up your sheets. Just make sure that your viewport is within the sheet and not past the sheet. Okay, and make sure that when you set up a sheet, so if you select the page, make sure it's an A1, you can pick the size. Okay, so this is super intuitive to use. Okay, another thing I've noticed is when you're working, just make sure that your unit length is in millimeters, otherwise it does get a bit confusing to work with. But you can see these drawings look great and they give you a lot of flexibility when putting these drawings together. You can now go and add a whole bunch of text and notes, so you can put in a whole bunch of information. Okay, and styles, totally up to you. Okay, so you can go and add a whole lot of information. You can change the scale of the text, so let's make this 10 mil on the page. So this is very intuitive, very, very intuitive, and you've got a ton load of styles. So if you go to styles, you've got all of these styles that you can access, all different colors. You can make your own styles, but in those videos it will help you. Okay, so just remember that you'll need to add like a scale. You'll need to add some sort of scale as well. Scale, just let us know what scale you're working in. Okay, for example. Alright, so there are these little, there's also, you can add a variable where you can tell it to access a view, and you can tell it to access the scale as well. So there are these intuitive little, okay, so it's very neat. I'm very impressed with the way this works. Okay, so I think this is a great tool for you to learn now, especially for next year when you want to put your designs together. Okay, so once you've kind of got a layout, and this is where the magic starts to happen. If you go back to our apartment, once you've kind of got a layout, I'm just going to remove this for now. Once you've got a layout and you want to export this and start using it in Blender, it's got a very neat tool that it allows you to export a DXF file. So you want to export this as a DXF. It'll say downloading, and you go to download. Now simply you can download this file, and you can download this and put it on a location where you're going to work. So I'm just going to change this to apartment DXF. That's all I need to understand. I'm going to save this now on my desktop just to show you how quick I can take this into Blender and start working in Blender. Okay, but that's that for this part of the video. on how to use Rayon. I would like all of you to try and start doing this today in class so that I can be there to assist you. The Blender videos on how to model your apartment and bring them back in here will be the next series that I'll give you. I'm hoping to wrap all of that up by Friday. Unfortunately, I am a bit behind at the moment with regards to wrapping up this video series. Okay.